The Knicks have a major problem. If you watched the Orlando game today like I did, then you just shared the disappointment like I do as well too. We saw a lot of different things during today's game, but one of the main aspects that I took note of was the fact that Julius Randle early on went down with a little bit of an ankle injury, stepping on somebody else's foot, and that really set the stage for his performance for the rest of the evening. We're going to discuss the game, why this is a major problem, and how the Knicks can solve it. All of this and so much more today. So be sure you're subscribed to the channel and have notifications turned on so you don't miss a second of the new content. And now, let's get started. The Knicks might just have a major problem on their hands, and they need to do everything in their power to solve it. Now, listen, with Jalen Brunson being out for the last few games, we knew it was going to be a struggle. We knew it was going to be hard. Listen, you're losing somebody who scores about 25 to 26 points a game, sometimes 30 points a game or higher than that. So when you lose that type of production, it's always going to hurt because defenses are going to hone in on the one specific player they know they have to worry about. And a lot of times, that's Julius Randle. And what that does is it makes other players on the Knicks have to beat you. The Quentin Grimes of the world, Miles McBrides of the world, Josh Harts of the world, Isaiah Hartensteins of the world. Those guys are very, very good, but they're not all-star level players like Jalen Brunson or Julius Randle. There's a different level to when those guys are on the floor. And tonight, we saw it very clearly. But one thing we saw even more than that is how fast the Knicks season could be over just like that. Because I'm telling you one thing, Julius Randle stepping on that guy's foot and almost injuring his ankle was a big issue. Had he missed the entire game or is going to miss significant time, I don't know if this Knicks team could survive that and make up his production. I don't know what they could do or what type of players they would need to move into the roster to help facilitate that need and fill that void that Julius Randle would absolutely leave if he was injured. If you were watching today's game, then you absolutely took a definite gasp of breath when you saw Julius Randle nearly hurt his ankle. And even though he stayed in the game, he didn't look right. He did not look right, especially on defense. Maybe he was shooting the ball here and there okay, but defensively, he was not looking great. You're going to probably tell me, well, Troy, he never looks great on defense. That's not true. This season, he's actually played very good defense. Maybe not all the time, but definitely most times than not, he's played very good defense. This game, as soon as he got injured, he started making those bonehead fouls that we used to see him make. He started making the plays where he'd go into the paint without an idea of what he was going to do, stand there, and then have to face 3 different defenders and pass out of that, making it very hard for him and the rest of the team. We saw him do that on a number of occasions. He was frustrated. The Magic defense, which is the top-rated defense in the league, definitely had him frustrated. And clearly, as you can see with the game and how it went, the Knicks were almost able to win this game, but they couldn't close out the fourth, only scoring 16 points. Shout out to Fred Katz for breaking down the following. According to Fred Katz, obviously if you're watching the game, Magic beat the Knicks 98 to 94. The Knicks fall to 23 to 17. They're now 7th in the East. McBride had 20 points. Anunoby, 17 points with 4 assists. He was shooting near lights out from the 3, shooting great from the corners. Randle, 15 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 of 18 shooting from the field. Just atrocious tonight. Dante DiVincenzo, 15 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Banchero, 20 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. And again, the Knicks scored only 16 points in that fourth quarter. It wasn't only Randle's fault. I'm not only blaming Randle. I will say this though. He had that type of performance. However, he is a leader of this team. If he's not showing up on offense, he needs to show up and do the other things on the court. And I believe he would have done that had he not hurt his ankle. And I think that frustrated him because he was playing through pain, dealing with pain, clearly not himself, and he was playing through it. And oftentimes when you're doing that, you often bite your tongue, you don't say anything, and you go through it. But also, you sometimes don't make the necessary extra effort that you need to make because you're dealing with that pain. And if you make the necessary effort, you're just putting yourself in more pain. And sometimes, whether you realize it or not, subconsciously, you may not go ahead and make that extra effort because you want to avoid the pain. And that may have happened to Julius Randle today. Now, I'm not trying to make excuses for him. Like I said before, when your offense is not there and your shot is not falling, you need to do other things to stay active and stay into the game. And the New York Knicks, credit to them. After halftime, they were doing exactly what they needed to do. They're up 11 on the Magic, but unfortunately, coming into that fourth quarter, they just could not buy a bucket. They went stretches after stretches after stretches without scoring a single point. And then we had to see Jalen Suggs or Markelle Fultz go all the way up and down the court, scoring back and forth for the Magic. And if you're a Knicks fan, that has to be frustrating because you're seeing this Knicks team, who is a top-rated defense, especially after the OG Anunoby trade, and you're seeing them getting taken apart by a Magic team that is struggling. And you don't want to see that. Even if you're missing one of your best pieces in Jalen Brunson, you want to see the Knicks at least compete at a harder level and close out better in the fourth, especially when you had the lead. So I'm not sure exactly what happened to the New York Knicks tonight. Clearly, a lot of players didn't have it. It wasn't only Julius Randle. And we have to take a look at his numbers again because this is going to go into my other point that I wanted to talk about. Julius Randle again, 15 points, 5 of 18 shooting, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. Jalen Brunson wasn't there. And Randle sometimes cannot be depended on to do everything you need him to do when Brunson is not there. So what does that mean? Trade. We've been talking about it. We've been saying it. I've been saying it since I've been blue in the face. I've been talking about a name, a specific name for the last few weeks that the Knicks have had exploratory talks with the Hawks in trying to acquire this player. DeJounte Murray. Now, it may not have to be Murray. It could be any type of star. But here's the point. We need another type of player. Somebody that's not a role player, but somebody just a tier above that. Either a star or an all-star. Because that's the type of player that would have led this Knicks team to winning today's game. Had we had another player like maybe a DeJounte Murray. You're telling me Murray couldn't score in the clutch? You're telling me he couldn't make a basket? You're telling me he couldn't stabilize that offense? You're telling me he couldn't make the right play, the right pass? Because I think he could have. And honestly, Murray's in a bad place right now with the Atlanta Hawks. So what you're seeing from him on a night-to-night basis shouldn't actually mirror the type of player that he is. Because when he was with the Spurs, there was a reason many teams, including the Knicks, wanted this kid. Because you could see what he could do on the defensive end and on the offensive end. And I think if he's playing with a team that wants him and he's motivated to play because that team is in contention to winning, I think he will be motivated to showcase his abilities and showcase what he can do. And the Knicks need all of that and more. It was clear tonight. You had to see it. We needed somebody else. Shout out to Miles McBride. Love what I saw. It can't just be him. Shout out to Isaiah Hartenstein. He was great. His impact since Mitchell Robinson has been down has been extraordinary. Still needed more. Because those guys are solid role players. They're amazing at what they do. But we need star-level talent to take us from here, to take us to when we have injuries and we're predicted to be here, to being here because we have another star on this roster. Somebody else that we can depend on, that we can trust, so we can take the pressure off everybody else. We didn't have anybody like that tonight. Credit to Julius Randle. He couldn't do it alone. We need another player. I'm not sure who that star is, and maybe they don't get that star today. Maybe they don't get that star before the trade deadline, but maybe they get that star this offseason. Either way, games like this make it clear that the Knicks are still one piece away, one star away from being a legitimate contender in the Eastern Conference. But not only that, they still need to make an upgrade before the trade deadline. Whether it's a star or a role player, we need more scoring and we need more stability from the bench. We cannot rely on Quentin Grimes each and every time. And not for nothing, I don't want to see Quentin Grimes just shooting threes. We need more paint presence. We need more attacking. That's why we need Grimes shooting the three, but we also need somebody else being able and willing, mind you, to take contact, go into the paint, and cause havoc, because that's going to open up the floor for our shooters. The Knicks don't have that player right now. Either they need to create that player, draft that player, or, in my opinion, what they're going to do, trade for that player. But games like this make it clear. We made 16 points in the fourth without Jalen. What happens if Jalen Brunson is missing a playoff game one night? Is this the type of performance we're going to expect? Is this the type of performance we're going to get? Are we only going to be able to score 16 points in the fourth? These are the things I'm looking at. The Magic are a struggling team, but they're not a bad team. They're actually a pretty good team this year. So I wanted the Knicks to take this game. I wanted the Knicks to win this game. I still remember the beating they caused us earlier in the season. This was a revenge game for me. I wanted it. I wanted the Knicks to take it. We were this close from winning that game. And just when you thought we were, we didn't. Throughout the course of an NBA season, you're going to see a lot of things, but you're also going to see what this roster needs, the gaps, what you need to put in there to fill in those gaps, fill in those voids, but also when your roster has injuries or other players don't show up or other players can't play that game, then you see what your roster's made out of. You see who's going to show out and show up, who can't show up, and who doesn't step up. And that tells you all you need to know in regards to what your roster needs. Leon Rose, New York Knicks. You're seeing exactly what we're all seeing. We need more talent. We need an upgrade. We need a trade. If you want to sell me a role player now, I can accept that depending on what you're paying for that role player. But without question, whether you get a star now or you get a star this offseason, this Knicks team needs a star in order to compete in the Eastern Conference and the NBA, to be seen as legitimate contenders. Games like this show you why. But what about you guys? Do you agree with me? Do you think the New York Knicks have a major problem right now? Let me know in the comments below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below, and of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace.